Have you ever found yourself in life coming across certain questions that you never ever asked initially, but getting an answer for them anyways? For instance, tonight, after getting incredibly drunk, I actually discovered an answer to a question that I never even asked. Allow me to answer that for you. If you ever asked yourself, how could I ever get a really cheap bourbon that tastes creepily closer to ouzo and licorice than it did actually fucking bourbon? Here's your answer. Nelson's County. I mean, what the fuck? But there are other questions similarly that I've encountered sober, some of which have actually been on YouTube. For instance, if you ever asked the question, what possibly could happen to Wicca after Silver Ravenwolf? I thank Rory for that joke, by the way, or inspiration for it rather. Then enter Prince Lord Chris and Christian Wicca. I mean, seriously, haven't we had enough of this fucking bullshit? Stop buying into the fucking platform of drama that has been built up for his fucking parody beliefs. I mean, anyone can believe whatever the fuck they want, but there's gonna be like little levels of like I give a shit, and like Christian Wicca is like let's be honest here, right? Me being a Satanist is a certain amount of elitism and camaraderie. So like a Jason King or a Venus Satana something, or Avenger, they're gonna make me give a shit probably about here in my video, right? Neo-paganism and stuff like that, because it's not really my bag. I'm gonna come down just a little bit, just about here. Christian Wicca doesn't get a hand on the fucking screen. It's below the ground on my feet for how little I could potentially, frankly, give a shit. Having said that, now that I'm actually back on topic, let me be like semi-serious for a moment. This video is entitled Sinister Dialectics, and it's essentially an open forum for Satanists of any type or description, or people that have had a satanic experience rather, or have resonated with something which has been identified as, or they have identified by themselves as quote unquote satanic, to make some kind of commentary about it. Namely, in these three questions. 1, what do you find Satan or the satanic current to be? 2, what is it that you as a Satanist actually believe, or how do you actually conceptualize your belief structures? And 3, what does it mean to be a Satanist to you? Or, how are you a Satanist? What practice or what actual actions make up the part of your conceptualization or the presence of the descriptor Satanist to yourself? What justifies that? I'm essentially asking these three questions because I think that there is a potential for a more meaningful dialogue about, say, satanic unity or something along this line or measure, but what would be required first is some baseline or foundational dialogue in which to essentially draw from. Let's be honest here. We're dealing with a diverse bunch. Satanism is a diverse narrative. The majority of people here on YouTube Chuck LaVey a long time ago. And because of that, there's been an individual awareness or an individual experience which has characterized a certain aesthetic, narrative, and unique belief structure and experience in which one identifies to that cultural aesthetic or that cultural denomination, Satanist. And a reason for that. That's unique, or relatively unique rather, in every single case. I want to hear your story. Even if you've only had a small satanic experience, say like, I don't know, if you're Rev Rory or, Abramelin Mage, who was just inspired by certain satanic philosophies, I want to hear about what particularly inspired you about them, or what you actually identified with. that from there, I think that we could actually have a more meaningful dialogue about a satanic community or satanic unity, because when you're dealing with abstract, lofty principles, the conversation could either be incredibly meaningful and deep, or it could actually be entirely nebulous and complete crap, which I think is a more likelihood case scenario, just given the fact that we are confined within 10 minutes to actually get our points across. So some clarification of terminology, or some clarification of positions would not only be helpful, but would also allow for a clear understanding to which one might empathize with an experience. Let's face it, I'm Taruk on YouTube. I'm not Taruk in the real world. You don't know me outside of this box. Help me to understand you and make these videos, because the only person that I know that's made videos that explicit about their belief structures are Jason King, and I think a lot of people would just be going, what the fuck, on some kind of level in terms of his satanic theogony, or B, Venus Satanist, that I think had a dialogue in which would be more approachable to more people. Though I do understand why people would make their videos the way how they do. So there it is. Those are the 3 questions, and I'll put them in the sidebar. But that's the challenge. And after that, this video will be will consist of another 3-part series where I essentially answer my own questions. Post video responses, comments, rate, subscribe, whatever else. This is Taruk on YouTube. My regards.